to the road to growth, success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, you Road to Growth listeners. Today we have Ash Cintas. I keep on trying to roll it. So it's not, you don't roll it, or you do?
No, I don't roll it. Just
you don't roll it? Okay. No. All right. Where's that? Where's the last name from?
It's Spanish and Portuguese.
Okay. So you could roll it, I guess.
You could. I can't, but you could.
You can't. I can't roll it too. I was trying to act like I had a lot of skill set, but it's really bad.
But it's better than what I can do. So,
so you're the founder of City Shoppe, right? Yes. I mean, I've done a little legwork, kind of looked it through. We kind of talked about it before we got on mic. I mean, it's basically like a more hyper-focused Amazon, right? Kind of helping out the small businesses, entrepreneurs in a hyper-focused community. Correct?
Yeah, correct. So we're a marketplace, and we're a marketplace for small business owners, specifically local small business owners that, you know, and we'll get more into my story of that I formerly was one that didn't have an outlet like a marketplace to be able to reach more of a national audience. So that's what we like to do. And then on the back end, what our real, you know, foundation of the company is we provide a lot of the online support that are the pain points of selling online. So small business owners don't have to manage that, such as customer service, payment processing, building out their shop page, etc.
Are you one of the few? Because when I'm thinking about like maybe smaller businesses, right? I'm not really thinking of Amazon. Amazon, I think, is a good portal for you to be kind of educated on SEO. I was thinking more so Etsy. Is that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Etsy, we like to say, you know, Etsy is if you're starting off with an idea, you're still managing this, you know, this idea from home. It's single products, built or made at the same time. Yeah. We are for those businesses who have gone past that Etsy point where they are, you know, they're a recurring revenue business. They're making multiple sales a month, a week. They have a ton of inventory of the product. They might not make the product, but they're good curators, such as, you know, they have like a, you know, almost like a general store type of brick and mortar that then can, you know, sell. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Sorry about that. Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah. So if you're not watching our live feed, right, you're listening to us. Ash's son, right?
No, a friend's son that we're visiting with right now that are 16 years old. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, people are working from home. I mean, there's a lot of people working from home, and I can only imagine of trying to keep your business going and having, I guess, little hiccups like that where you're not expecting it, but you have to roll with the punches, right? That's life now.
Yes, it is. It is. So, yeah, he wanted to make his debut online. So. But yeah, so, you know, we really offer those businesses that they are legit a small, medium-sized business. They, you know, by SBA definition, it's 250,000 to 10 million in revenue. How I thought of City Shoppe is I was a former small business owner. I created a consumer product when I was in college, and it was manufactured. It was manufactured at a facility in San Diego. I had some local and regional success. And I didn't really, Etsy is so wonderful and it's like arts and crafts community, but my product didn't align with that. I felt it devalued my product because something that's commercially manufactured versus sewing at home, it's a different type of product. And so I then was too small to sell on Amazon. You know, Amazon is bulk products from overseas, commodities. So there's really no outlet for me to be able to gain that national exposure that marketplaces do so well. So that's why I really wanted, you know, a marketplace that was for that, you know, kind of that group, that organization of small businesses that have been kind of left out in the marketplace space.
Well, something that, I mean, I've had a couple, quote unquote, Amazon gurus on here, right? And they've kind of told me or walked me through the different hacks, right? Of hacks of how you can get your product up higher up. I mean, something to look at. If you get a lot of the reviews were done the same day, it's probably basically paid reviews or kind of little tricks like that to get up top. Is there, for your platform, a way to get it past that where we can actually see if it's real reviews or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, to compare it to Amazon, so no one can compete on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
It's majority of the vendors are overseas. Amazon has over 1,000 of their own private label. We know that they're the first page of search results. And if you even wanted to start selling on Amazon right now, it's too late. They have millions of sellers on there that have already done all that legwork all these years to get the reviews, to know how to write the product descriptions, and to really, manage that system to their advantage. So we kind of take a different approach. We make it where a vendor can be found on multiple different facets. So you can be found by category, but you can be found by brand value, and you can be found by your own location. And we don't allow any advertising, because at the end of the day, that's what social media, if you want to sell on Facebook or Instagram or even Google or Amazon, it's a pay-to-play business model. And small business owners, not only do they not have the financial resources to compete with that, but they also don't have the know-how, or they don't have the team or the resources like all these other companies do, who can do hacks, or who can manipulate the system, or have the team to be able to manage it all on a daily basis. Because as we know, the algorithms, especially on Facebook and Instagram, are constantly changing.
When you talk about brand value, what does that consist of?
Yeah, so I think what we've been seeing, especially this past year and a half, is the millennial and Gen Z and the consumers are approaching consumerism more consciously, and they're wanting to shop based off of what they value. So whether that's organic or environmentally friendly or social impact or Black-owned businesses. And so we feel that the future of really shopping is more connected, more value-driven marketplaces or value-driven companies, that you're being able to shop more for the person behind the product and what they stand for, versus just the product and the price point itself.
And I love that idea too. You brought the idea of location. I mean, these are definitely a lot of features that you can't do with, I guess, some of the bigger platforms like Amazon we talked about.
Yeah.
You brought it up that you were an entrepreneur yourself. Have you always had this kind of entrepreneur mindset growing up?
Yes, actually, I come from family of entrepreneurs. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. My grandparents were entrepreneurs. And so my brother and sister and I, ever since we were little, we were always thinking of the next business idea. It was almost like our weekend hobby. And then in college, as I mentioned, I actually decided to pursue my own business, and created a product that wasn't in the market, tried to patent it, did all that, found overseas material, brought it into America, got it manufactured in America, and went through all that legwork of trying to, sell a consumer product, and realized that the value was actually in the material itself, not just the product. So went through that learning curve. And then in the last 15 years, I've been a part of other startups. So I've always chosen that entrepreneurial, startup path versus, more traditional route.
Can you walk listeners through the quote unquote learning curve you brought up?
Yeah. I think, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs go through this, and I was young at the time, I was 21, but, I was so focused on the product that I thought was the need that I almost missed that, there was an alternative to what I created that was more valuable. And so, for example, the product I created was a yoga mat for the yoga industry. And when I first thought of the idea, I said to myself, well, it's almost like a pillowcase cover for your yoga mat. I was doing a lot of yoga. I was a poor college student. I couldn't afford to buy a new mat all the time. It was smelly, it was gross. And so I needed a water resistant, odor resistant, eco-friendly material, kind of like a pillowcase that could go in the washer and dryer, and I would never have to buy a new yoga mat again. And so I was very much stuck on this, consumer product, and developing a whole line for the yoga industry, like yoga bags and totes, etc. That it was actually, I was, bootstrapping the company. I was working at a restaurant at the time, and a customer inside the restaurant, I was telling him about my yoga line, and he said, that material might be more valuable to other industries. They were in the medical industry at the time, and the material that I had created was, it was all these certifications against pneumonia, MRSA, bacterial is antimicrobial. and they said, the medical industry might want this, or, the pet beds and, car interiors and all of these things. And so anyways, the learning curve was, I was so stuck for so long on just this one thing that I almost missed an opportunity of it being a multifaceted product versus just this niche, yoga line that I was trying to do.
When that one person brought up the idea, and maybe it was more, but that one person that brought up the idea that this product would be good for other avenues,
Mm-hmm.
did you start thinking it on that moment? Did you put it in the back burner? Did you talk to other people?
I went home that night and did a lot of research and started going into, okay, what industries need this type of material the most, whether it was, it was a stain resistant and odor resistant, which is more for the car interior space, antimicrobial, which is for the medical space. And so then I, did some lead gen, and I reached out to presidents and CEOs of, Fortune 500 companies about my idea, got quite a few responses back, and just started meeting with people to see, okay, well, where could this be the most valuable, and then without having so many regulatory, hoops going through it. So yeah, started pursuing that right away, licensed out the material a bit, and it was a little bit easier of a route than, than the yoga line. So still did the yoga line on the side, but licensing out the material and having that be useful was more valuable at the time.
I always get fascinated when people cold call. I mean, and that's what you're doing. What was the first time that you went out of your comfort zone, or you? I mean, you said you were had the entrepreneur mindset at a young age. Were you always okay with basically just picking up the phone and asking for it, or asking the question?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And I think honestly that came from my grandparents and my mother. They threw us in their stores at a very young age. So we had to become comfortable talking to strangers and talking to people and selling people items within their store at a very young age. And we moved around a lot. I moved every 4 years. And so I think having to go to a new school as a child, you just learn to just be comfortable with speaking and talking to people at a moment's notice of something that you might not even, know that much about.
So you had your product, right? And did you try to put it on another platform to sell it, or where did the dream or the idea of City Shoppe come about? Yeah,
that's a great question. So had the product, tried to sell it on Amazon. So, went through that, tried to become a national brand, as I mentioned. And, regardless of it's a lot for an entrepreneur or a founder or anybody within a small, company you have to manage all. You wear so many hats. So, I'm trying to do customer service, trying to do sales, trying to grow the brand, do business development. And it ended up not working out. So I took those learnings and I joined other startups, mainly in the hospitality space. And a few years ago, I was living in Portland, Oregon for working at a startup. And I was walking down the street, and Portland is very known for its local brick and mortars, very local small business focused city. And it dawned on me, I thought, wow, there's so many great businesses here. There was an amazing leather store that I had walked by that had some really great hats and bags. And I just thought, why can't my friends in North Carolina and Michigan shop these stores? Why are we stuck with shopping on Target or Amazon or Walmart or whatever big box retailer when there's the same quality, if not better quality products, because it comes straight from the maker's hands right in our backyard. We just don't know about it. And with that, I started realizing, well, what is that barrier to entry? What pain points did I go through? And the combination of my own entrepreneur and then being a consumer merged together. And that's why I thought of City Shoppe.
Okay. So you have the idea of City Shoppe. Mm-hmm. Did you design the website yourself? Did you have to bring people on, or what happens next?
Yeah. So I thought about it. I guess it's a little bit more detail, but I say it because I think it's good for entrepreneurs to hear when other people, it's a struggle for everyone. So I thought of it 2 years ago. As I said, I was a vice president at another startup that was trying to grow to be a national brand. And I knew that starting a company was going to cost a lot of money. That's one of the reasons why my early company in my 20s didn't do so well, is I didn't have that much money to keep, fueling it. So I started saving, and I saved for 2 years. I wrote the business plan. I would talk to people here and there. I did a lot of market research. So when I was ready to launch, I at least would have more data of the position I need to be in. And decided last year during the pandemic that I was going to launch it. And I found a group of people. I found people on LinkedIn, former coworkers of mine, came together and found people to build the site, design the site, and help run the marketing and the sales and a tech team. And now there's 10 of us all together, and we were bootstrapping at the time, and we just received some funding. So now we're kind of in more growth mode, which is good.
You said you worked for a startup. Was that the first startup you worked at, or have you worked at multiple startups?
Oh, I've worked at multiple startups. Yeah.
Okay. What have you picked up from the multitude of startups that you've worked with of that's going to be a success, or maybe that's not going to be a success? Is there a common theme?
Yeah. I mean, I think with the common theme with the startups that I did work with was they all turned out to be, decently successful. Was they were trying to change the mindset of what their current industry is. So one of them was with Ace Hotel Group, and I'm sure you know of Ace, but if not, Ace really redefined what it was like to be in a hotel experience. They activated all the spaces. They made it more entertainment focused. They made it inclusive. I was talking to a reporter the other day, and I said, I remember growing up and going to Marriott's and Hilton's, and you never felt comfortable being in them. It was very much you were stuck in a box, and Ace did a really good job of making it feel like you were hanging out with friends in your own living room. So I think finding a group of people that share a passion of what you're trying to create is the most important thing in a startup. And then the second startup I was with was, trying to do that for the restaurant industry on sustainability. They were a fully sustainable restaurant. And they wanted to be able to really change the idea that the restaurant industry has to, find the cheapest product or, kind of be a low margin industry or poor working environment industry, and wanted to change that. So both of them, when you have such a big vision of what you want to be able to create, you have to be able to find that team that is going to want to, put that vision into motion.
So how do you find the people that have a similar passion to what you're looking to accomplish? Like for yourself, you said it was friends, colleagues, people on LinkedIn. Is it a simple post looking to be part of the startup? Is it throwing fillers out, asking family or friends? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah. It's a few different things. It is former coworkers. It can be friends and family. I've posted on LinkedIn before. And I've cold outreach to people. If there's a company that I really admire, or that was a startup 5 years ago, and now it's more of a stable business, and the original people of the startup have moved on to something else, I'll reach out to them. So it's just starting initial conversations. And there's also great websites out there now. StartHawk is a really good website where you can find people who actually want to join a startup, because I think the hardest thing is being a part of a startup and never working in a startup. If you've never worked in a startup before, it's incredibly challenging, because the startup world is such a roller coaster, and you constantly have to pivot. You have to be agile. I mean, it's the definition of running an agile business. So finding people that understand that and are okay to go on that ride with you, especially at this stage of the company when it's equity only, you're not getting paid a salary. It can be challenging. So it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of interviews, but you start to be able to read people's resumes or start within the first conversations to gauge it. And I'm upfront right away. I'm like, I'm not going to waste your time. This is who we are. This is what we're looking for. This is where I think the company can go. Are you interested? So
how was, because so a year ago is when you kind of officially started, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So COVID, I mean, I know it was beginning of this year, but maybe kind of earlier stages, I think last year. But how was the process of hiring, finding the right people kind of in this window of time where it's been more COVID related? People have been, I guess, less social. Was it different for you than other startups that you've been part of to find the right people?
Yeah, I would say that it's a very good question. I don't know if it was so much different because I've always been a part of mission-driven companies. So it's pretty easy to be able to find, most of the people who would apply believe in that mission. And so at least it was easy to find that. I think, trying to build a team and start a company in COVID it's just being mindful of everyone's surroundings, and I think the mental health and physical health and emotional health of everyone, it was never been more of a leadership lesson for myself, I think, to just be compassionate towards that and know that, you might be finding people who believe in what you're doing, but they've been stuck inside for a year. They've been isolated for a year. They might, they might have incredible, drive right now. And then in a month, they might be going through a hard time. And so I think just, finding that balance was a little bit more challenging than it's been in other work circumstances. But I'm sure anybody could say that right now, that it's more of that emotional intelligence, more of that personal connection with your team while everyone's just trying to manage versus, a normal startup. It's, back before pre-COVID, it was just other circumstances. So
are there changes that you're putting in place now as things are kind of opening back up? So did you guys have an office space or
no, we've been working the entire time. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you guys plan to do that in the future?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, actually, I hope so. I'm a little bit old school. I like the office space, but who knows? Who knows what the world's going to dictate for us, right now. And I think that's part of being agile. Like there's a team of 10 of us. We have 2 in Brazil, 1 in New York, 1 in Portland, 1 in Vancouver, Canada, California. And I'm more of a firm believer, if you have a passionate team, if everyone works hard, if everyone delivers and, works well together, I'd much rather have that versus trying to fit people into a constraint that they might not be ready for, the world might not be ready for yet.
I just had this I had this conversation with someone the other day. They sell office furniture, so I think they were skewed one direction.
Oh no.
But we were talking about the idea of people working outside of an office space, right? And they brought up the idea that, well, people are going to go back in there because that's the way it's been done. Again, probably skewed because they sell office space.
Yeah.
Is there something that you do with your team, or what's the structure look like to keep people accountable, keep people uplifted, keep people kind of going forward on the same plan? Is it a daily meeting, a weekly meeting? What does that look like?
So we have weekly meetings. We have one all team meeting, and then we have specific department weekly meetings. We use tools such as Slack to stay in constant communication with everybody. Project management tools to be able to help hold everyone accountable. And the most important thing, which I haven't been good at in my past careers, and I'm trying to do much better now as the main leader, is you have to celebrate the small wins. And that is not just important because of a startup. It's important because everyone's remote. And so, as we launch a new city, we just launched Nashville a few weeks ago. We launched Chicago tomorrow. We have to celebrate that, have to celebrate bringing on new vendors, or if the development team launches, we just launched a new homepage. So just really, really adding value to everyone's hard work, especially when they're, alone while doing it.
How do you celebrate? With cupcakes?
No, just acknowledgement, acknowledge, I think that, that can go further sometimes than cupcakes, maybe virtual cupcakes, cupcake stick or whatever you can do on Slack. I'm not very smart with all that, but
what, if you could talk to your younger self, that young entrepreneur, before she went to any kind of startup, before she even started her own company, any advice that you would give her?
Oh, quite a bit of advice. Okay. I think one of the biggest ones for my younger self would be, relax. Nothing has to be perfect. And just it's better to, fail and learn as much as you can. And I think most importantly for me is talk to people. I was very private for a very long time, and it's okay to share ideas or share fears or just want to brainstorm with people. I mean, we all know what we know, and we all know what we don't know, and being able to recognize that and acknowledge it, and then not be scared to find a group of people and just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think back? Could this work? Could it not work? And, just be a little bit more open and not such a perfectionist, I think, is what I would tell myself.
Is there a particular way that you're in a safe zone, that you're with people that you can open up with and be vulnerable? Is there something that you've learned over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think having had to hire so many people in my previous companies, I've definitely been someone where, energy and demeanor, can I have a natural conversation with somebody? And even in an interview, and if that natural conversation can come out where that person becomes comfortable enough with you to be able to be vulnerable, and, vice versa, then that's a long-standing relationship, whether it's, works out professionally or, it's just somebody that down the road that you could call on for something. I think, that's really important. And also understanding, to be vulnerable with people, you also have to understand everyone's strong suits and their, not so strong suits. And a good leader can, be able to put people in the positions that represent their strong suits. And the same with you, that people that can make you better, even if it makes you uncomfortable.
Makes sense. I mean, if let's say we're talking to you in 5 years from now, we're interviewing right now, where is City Shoppe? Where is Ash going to be?
Yeah. 5 years from now, City Shoppe is global. So from right now, we could shop the streets of Paris if we wanted to. And we have built an ecosystem of a managed marketplace where small business owners are being able to, actually have a sustainable, scalable business because of City Shoppe. And we manage all of that process for them, and they curate the products. That's the goal. So
I love it. Do you think there's going to be any kind of technology or anything that going into the future where it's going to be factored in to purchasing online, or have you thought about that? Or
yeah. Okay. I mean, I think we'll see quite a bit more of, I think, a few things. One, that's not such an advanced technology. I think we're going to see more personalization, more value driven. I think more micro versus macro when it comes to e-commerce. And I think from an advanced tech, we will see more of some form of an augmented reality to be able to experience, shopping the streets of Paris in a digital way, whether it's being able to, see the cobblestone streets and say, I want to go into that store right there. And you virtually are doing all of that and being able to see all the different products. I know there's a few different technology out there right now, but I think all of it will come together, and it being able to, actually shop virtually in another city will be as if it's a real thing.
Okay. I'm sold. I want that now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Ash, for being on the podcast. Thank you for giving all your insight and walking us through your journey of building this company and, changing the way we purchase. I mean, the idea that we can purchase hyper locally without leaving our home, or even maybe there's a place that we enjoyed when we were living in Austin, Texas, and we want to buy it from there, but we want to get it hyper local. I mean, I love the idea. Any last words that you want to throw out there to the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I can say is, think local first. I'm Amazon's not going anywhere. Walmart's not going anywhere. But if you could try to find that one item local, even one purchase would make all the difference. And so we just ask anyone, once a month, once a month, try and buy your coffee local, or, your pillow, your pillow for your couch local, or whatever it may be. So that's it. But yeah, I appreciate the time and the support as well.
Yeah, thank you. And so City Shoppe, go find it if you're listening right now. City Shoppe, find your local vendor. If you're a vendor in one of the communities or looking to add your product to one of those communities, what's the best way? Is it to go on City Shoppe, go to you, or what's the best way?
Yeah, they can go to cityshoppe.com. They can email myself. It's ash@cityshoppe.com, or email our entire sales team, which is shops, and shop is spelled SHOPPE. So shopsteam@cityshoppe.com.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe, please share, and go to City Shoppe. Bye,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.